Okay, so basically you're Link, right? And you're like a young boy who lives in this magical forest that's like full of like fairies and other little like elf children, right? They're called the Kokiri. Um, and essentially what happens is like it's like ruled over this big like oak tree, I guess. That's called like the Great Deku Tree. And one day, like the start of the game, right? The Great Deku Tree is like, oh Jesus, like everything's getting fricked up and I'm cursed and stuff. And so he sends you a fairy because you're the only one without a fairy, right? And like all the other Kokiri would like, well, not all of them, but like but just Mido really. Like Mido, this one Kokiri guy would like bully you for it, which is kind of messed up, but like whatever. So like the Great Deku Tree is all like, oh, like Navi, that's your fairy now. He's like, Navi, like go to the boy without a fairy, like go get him. I have like a prophecy, whatever, like bring him to me. So you go to the Great Deku Tree. You get like a little sword and shield, which is tiny because you're like a young boy. And of course Mido's all like, yeah, you can't see the Great Deku Tree, and you're like, frick you, Mido, like I have the sword and shield now. So he lets you through, and he's like, what would the Great Deku Tree want with you anyways? But yeah, whatever, frick you, Mido. So you go to the Great Deku Tree, and he's like, Link, I've been cursed. And you're like, oh no. And so like you like go inside the Great Deku Tree, kind of weird. But you go inside the Great Deku Tree, and it's your first dungeon, right? So like you go through the dungeon and everything, and he was like infected by Queen Goma, which is actually a really cool fight, honestly. But anyway, so like he gets infected by Queen Goma, you beat Queen Goma, whatever, life's good. And then you exit the Great Deku Tree, and he's like, surprise, I was actually dying the whole time, like this was low-key a lost cause, but not really, because I'm going to give you the Kokiri Emerald, which is like a sacred stone, right? And then he's also like, surprise, Lord Drop, so you're actually not a Kokiri. When you were a little baby and Hyrule was at war or something, your mom came to the forest and was like, please look after my baby. And obviously because, you know, they're like nice nature spirits, they look after you, I guess. So you're human, you're Hylian, yay. So he's like, okay, now you gotta get out of here, buddy. You gotta skedaddle, because you gotta save Hyrule. And you're like, oh shit, okay. So then he's like, okay, go to Hyrule Castle and like meet the princess. And you're like, okay, I guess. So you leave the forest, and like as you're leaving, your best friend / crush, like we're not really sure yet, but this girl Saria, this cute like elf girl, she's the only one with green hair, everyone else is like blonde, so you know that she's special. And she's like, Link, like, oh my gosh, like I didn't think you would leave so soon, like here, have this ocarina of mine, to like remember me by, right? So she gives you the fairy ocarina. It's not the ocarina of time yet, no title drop yet. So she gives you this fairy ocarina, right? And you're like, okay. And you keep going, and you encounter this big ass owl named Kapora Gabora, who is like, I don't know who the hell coded this game, right? But like if you skip through like his like instructions at the end, like he'll be like, did you get all that? And if you're like still spamming A, it's set to no. So you gotta make sure that you hit, like you move it down to yes, I got all that, Mr. Kapora Gabora owl, sir. So that way you don't have to hear it all again. And you're like, hey, great. And then here's the tech, right? It's like you have to keep like barrel rolling. Like you just spam your barrel roll. Is this a barrel roll? Is it just a somersault? I guess it's just a somersault, right? Because you're not in like a jet or anything. Okay, so you just somersault. So you just gotta like keep rolling to like the castle. Because if you don't get to the castle by the time it's dark, then like there's like stealthos, which are like, they're like skeleton guys. So like if it's dark, then like the castle gates go up because like protection, right? Makes sense. And like the stealthos pop up, and you're like, and you gotta wait until it's daytime. So like that's a tech. If you're ever gonna play it, have that like little piece of knowledge. Okay, that's like a good tech. So you do that. So you get to the castle, and you're like, okay, I'm here. And you like try to sneak into the castle, and you run into this other young lady. Basically, Ocarina of Time is like Loki harem. Okay, so there's another young lady here now. Sorry, like, oh, you haven't forgotten you, I swear to God. There's another young lady, and her name's Melon. She's a redhead, so, you know, plus points there, I guess, for some people who are into that kind of stuff. And she's like, oh, like, yeah, like, I'm going to the castle too. Like, my dad was supposed to be at the castle, blah, 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 whatever. He's so lazy, I don't know where he is. And you're like, no problem, baby girl. I'm sure I'll find him. Anyway, so you're still a young lad, right? So you go to the castle, and you find you're supposed to like, she gives you like a chicken egg, and you're supposed to wait until the next day, and then the chicken egg hatches, right? And then like when you play it in front of her dad, who's like absolutely snoozing deadbeat father, and then you play it in front of like you whip out the chicken basically, and he's like caw, or whatever chicken. I guess chickens don't really caw, but like you get what I mean, right? And then it wakes up her dad, and her dad's like, he was blocking the way, so now you can like sneak into Hyrule Castle, and you do like a whole like little stealth mission where you go past the guards and stuff, and then you find Princess Zelda, and she's like, oh wow, and like it plays the pretty music, and it starts playing Zelda's lullaby, which is gonna be played like throughout the entire goddamn game. Okay, so you better like that goddamn song. So then, Zelda's lullaby starts playing. She's like, oh my god, Link, like, I saw you in a dream. And I'm like, whoa, romantic. Like, I just finished meeting 2 other baddies, but here's a third. Okay, and this one's royalty. So another woman enters the harem possibilities. So then, like, you meet Princess Zelda, and she's like, oh, Link, like, I saw you in a dream. Like, I saw a shining light from the forest, a shining green light. That must have been the Kokiri Emerald. And then she's like, yeah, like, I'm, like, low-key totally spying on my dad right now. She's like, come look, like this evil man has come to like swear like loyalty to my dad. And you're like, okay, sure, like I'll go take a look, right? So you walk over the window and you look, and it's Ganondorf, and it's like, oh my god, evil man, right? She was like, oh yeah, like I saw dark clouds over Hyrule. I think they symbolize that man in my dream, blah blah blah. And you're like, shit, like whatever you say, baby girl, right? And then he looks at you, and you're all like, yoinks. And she's like, okay, like, how about you get the other 2 spiritual stones, and then we can like, she was like, oh, I think he wants a Triforce, because of course he wants a Triforce, right? It's a goddamn Zelda game. So then she's like, oh, like, why don't you get the other 2 spiritual stones, and we can go to the Door of Time, and we can get the Triforce before Ganondorf gets the Triforce. And you're all like, yeah, no problem. She's like, my attendant will show you out. And then she has this other baddie, however, not part of your harem, given the age gap, the difference. Good job, Nintendo, in this one. I will say that if you in future games, Impo's Loki still a baddie, but that's like for another recording. Anywho, so Impa like escorts you out, and she's like, why don't you learn this beautiful song? It'll prove that you're part of the royal family. She teaches you Zelda's lullaby. You're like, great, amazing. And then she's like, yeah, I'm from Kakariko Village, like, hop on over there, and like there'll probably be something for you. Boom, you start your adventure. Beautiful thing. You go to Kakariko Village. It's a mess. There's like farmers running around. They run around very fruity. Listen, you gotta see it. Like, when you see it, you'll understand, okay? Anyways, there's farmers everywhere, there's chickens everywhere, cuckoos everywhere. The girl who owns the cuckoos is allergic to the cuckoos. I don't, like, why would you get into this business if you're allergic to cuckoos? I don't, like, what were you thinking, She's like, I can't touch them. Can you collect all of my cuckoos for me? And they are all over the place. And you do it, and I think you just get, like, a heart piece out of it, which, like, okay, kind of worth it, but, like, girl, like, anyways, whatever. So you do all that. You can go to the graveyard if you want, and you can, like, get, like, a Hylian shield. A little pro tip for you, okay? One of the graves has, like, little Triforce flowers or, like, Triforce plants underneath it, and if you, like, pull that back, and then you jump down, there's actually a Hylian shield in there. So, fun fact, because you will actually need a Hylian shield to get the next part. So, for the next Sacred Stone, it's the Gorons who have them, which are, like, these big guys. Think of, like, a giant, like, hedgehog, but instead of spines, there's no spines, and they're just, like, hard. Okay, that sounds weird, but, like, you know what I mean, right? They're just, like, rock solid, like, whatever, and then they're like roll around and stuff. It's like a whole thing. Anyways, right, so, like, those are the Gorons. So they live on Death Mountain, which is, like, the top of the mountain that's like right beside Kakariko Village. I don't know why they would live beside an active volcano, but, like, more power to you, right? So you go there, you, like, go to the knight, and you're like, hi, I have this letter from Zelda, and he's like, what the fuck? Okay, sure, kid, like, I guess you can go to Death Mountain, but you better have a good shield. Joke's on you, buddy. I don't have to pay a ridiculous amount of rupees for this shit, because I actually grave robbed, and I got a Hylian shield already, so I'm blessed. So you go up the mountain, and you find the Gorons, and they're like, oh, brother, we're starving, brother. Okay, they don't actually talk like that, but, like, they're basically, like, I'm pretty sure low-key, like, I don't know if there was a Jamaican influence for this, Nintendo, but maybe that's just, like, my personal headcanon. I'm not sure. But anyways, so you go to the Gorons and stuff, and they're like, oh, like, we can't eat. We really want to eat, like, these bombs. They're like, we want to eat these bombs. And you're like, what? They're like, yeah, the bombs from Dodongo's cavern, like, they're bussin' disrespectfully. But we can't eat it anymore because, like, Ganondorf came and blocked it off, and, like, Dodongo's going crazy, and we can't go there. It's not safe. But, like, we're so spoiled that we can only eat the rocks from Dodongo's cavern. Help us, brother. And you're like, I'm literally an 11-year-old kid from the forest, but, like, okay, I guess, right? Because, I mean, shit, Zelda asked, and she's royalty, and she's kind of a baddie, so, like, what else are you gonna do, right? So anyways, so you go to, like, visit, like, the elder of the Gorons, Darania, and he's all like, what do you know about saving things? And you're like, well, haha, buddy. And he's like, I'm depressed. And you're like, I can help. And you play the song that Saria, you were actually, sorry, backtrack a little bit. You're actually supposed to go back to the forest and be like, yo, Saria, actually, I'm going to become a hero now. And she's like, okay, well, if you ever miss me, you can play this song. And, like, you can talk to me. And she teaches you Saria's song, which is, like, basically the Lost One theme. Anyway, so you're like, okay, great. And he's like, I'm depressed and I need to feel connected with nature again. And you're like, boy, do I have the fucking jam for you. So you whip out your fairy ocarina, you play Saria's song, and he's like, whoa, cutscene. And he goes off, right? He's dancing, he's having a great time. He's like, you know what, actually, kid, I trust you with the future of my race. You will, in fact, be obtaining he doesn't outright say he'll give you, like, the Goron ruby, which is the spiritual stone of fire. And then he's all like, yeah, like, go fix it for us, right? And you're like, shit, I guess, right? So you go into Dodongo's cavern. It's a pretty cool dungeon, I will say. That one's, like, really, really fun. So, like, the special item for this dungeon, because every dungeon has, like, a special item, right? So, like, in the forest temple, or sorry, not the forest temple, we're not there yet. In the Great Deku Tree, it was the slingshot, right? You use that a lot to, like, beat the boss and stuff and, like, solve puzzles. And then in Dodongo's cavern, it's you're using, like, bomb flowers, which is basically bombs, right? It's bombs. It's a bomb, okay? And you're, like, blowing shit up and stuff, whatever. So, like, you get through it. The ending part, not the ending part, but, like, to get to the boss room, it's really, really cool. You basically, there's, like, a giant Dodongo. Also, to describe a Dodongo, I guess it's like a big Komodo dragon, I guess, is, like, how I would describe it. Like a big Komodo dragon, yeah. Anyhow, so just, like, a giant Dodongo skeleton. And to get into the boss area, like, you cross a bridge that's, like, over top of the skeleton, and you drop bombs in its eye sockets. And then it turns red and its mouth opens up. I don't know, some next hydraulics. Good job, Gorons. If you could figure this out, you probably could have solved this problem yourself, but it's okay. Like, I will do it for you. So you go in, you beat the giant Dodongo that's going crazy. I guess it's his cavern, so, like, it kind of feels a little bit BM, because, like, did he really deserve this? You know, like, is this gonna affect the ecosystem? Was he a keystone species? I don't know. Not my problem. I'm the hero of time, so it's fine. Anyways, you do that. The Gorons are like, wow, Pogger's amazing. Like, thank you so much for fixing this for us. And you're like, yeah, no problem, guys. Can I have that ruby now? They're like, you're now my sworn brother. Well, Darnay, he's like, you're my sworn brother now. Haha, Gorons for life and shit. And you're like, okay, thanks. I got my rock, so I'm happy. So you're blessed, right? And then, okay, so then for the next stone, right, the next spiritual stone, you have to visit, like, the next race in Hyrule, which is the Zoras, right? And so the Zoras are basically, like, mermaid people or, like, fish people, depending on, like, how nice you want to be about it. Do not be, like, picturing, like, Ariel, okay? I would say it's definitely closer to fish people. Like, they got gills and, like, fins and stuff, but, like, yeah, anyways. Okay, so you go to Zora's Domain, which is, like, gorgeous place in, like, this, like, I guess it's, like, a waterfall that, like, eventually feeds into Lake Hylia. I don't know, whatever. You go to Zora's Domain, it's great, it's a good time. Make sure, now when you're doing this, you gotta make sure there's some fat fucking chud who's, like, sitting at the entrance of the river, and he's munching on some goddamn beans, and he's like, hey kid, you want some beans? And it's actually really important that you do, in fact, buy the beans, because it's, like, it'll help you, like, okay, this is, like, kind of a spoiler, but, like, I think we can all understand that in Ocarina of Time, like, there's, like, time travel, okay? It's been, like, 20 years since the game came out, okay? So I'm not spoiling anything, really, but, like, basically you gotta buy the beans, so that way, like, when you're a kid, you can run around and, like, plant the beans everywhere, and then when you grow up, like, you can use it to, like, access special areas and stuff if you, like, want 100% the game or whatever, right? So anyway, so it's like really important that you buy these beans. And this fucking chud will like every time you buy the beans, he's like, wow, these are getting really popular. Like, dude, I'm literally your only customer, but like, fine, whatever, run a business, okay? It's a really ridiculous amount. Like, I'm getting heated all over again thinking about it, because he literally starts out selling these beans for like 10 rupees, and then like by the end of it he's like, yeah, these beans are like almost out of stock, like if you want this shit, it's 100 fucking rupees. Like, okay, my bad, Wolf of Wall Street, like whatever. Anyways, buy the beans. So you get to Zora's Domain, you play Zelda's Lullaby again. They're like, wow, this guy's like associated with the royal family. Like, wow, Impa really clutched it teaching you that song. You go in, Princess Ruto of the Zoras is missing. Her bigger fat chud of a father, who's like a giant like blowfish, I don't know, whatever, he's big, blobfish really. Kind of looks like a frog. I don't know what he is. Everyone else is like elegant and cool, and for some reason like this guy's just like absolutely massive, and he's like blocking the entrance to the next dungeon, and he's like, oh, my poor Ruto, where is she gone? Again, probably doesn't sound like this, but you know what, it is what it is. If anyone was gonna have a British accent in the Zelda games other than the royal family, it's probably the Zoras, but like, I don't know, whatever. So she's missing, and you gotta do this like little mini game. This is like really annoying because it's not very obvious what you have to do, but I kind of like that about older games too, how you had to like explore a lot more and like figure it out yourself a little bit. Anyways, so basically what you have to do then is you have to like play this little diving game, because like the king is like, oh, Ruto, blah blah blah, I miss you, right? And so you go to the side, and then this like other Zora is like, hey kid, you want to dive? And you're like, shit, yeah, like I'd love to jump off a cliff, right? You play the diving game, you make sure you win, you know, very important, make sure you win the mini game. And he gives you this silver scale, and he's like, now you can dive like deep as hell. And you're like, shit, okay. And so then because of that, you can like go through this like little teleport kind of like portal thing that'll take you to the bottom of Lake Hylia, right? So you go through there, and then you find this bottle, very useful, by the way. The bottles in this game, very important, very useful. You find this little bottle, right? And you can open it up, and there's a letter from Ruto, and she's like, I'm stuck inside Jabu Jabu's belly, help. And then you're like, well, okay. So you go and you show like King Ruto the letter, and he's like, you will be the one to rescue my daughter. And you're like, well, shit, okay. Spoiler alert, I don't know if you guessed it, yes, there is another young woman in the game, and yes, she is in fact entering the harem. So you go in, you give Jabu Jabu like a little fish, and he's like, yump, and he eats you in the fish, so you get in the belly, get in my belly. And then Ruto's all like, what are you doing here? I didn't write that letter. I still don't know who wrote the letter, but like, who knows at this point, whatever. Anyways, so she's like, okay, well, if you're here, then like be a man and look after me. So you gotta do this entire goddamn dungeon carrying her. I'll be nice about it, but you have to carry her around basically, which is like, I mean, it kind of works out because some of the dungeon like switches and stuff, you have to like have more weight, so like it's designed with that in mind, sure. Anywho, the special weapon in this dungeon is a boomerang, which is like pretty handy, pretty helpful, you know. Now we don't have to use our slingshot ammo all the time. Granted, it was just like Deku seeds or whatever, so like it's fine, but you know, in this economy, like we do what we can to save, right? Anywho, so like the boss in this dungeon's like basically like giant evil jellyfish, and like you cut off like all the like the infected parts. I don't even know what happened. Did like Ganondorf just like stick this jellyfish inside Jabu Jabu? I don't know, whatever. But yeah, so you like heal him, and then Ruto's all like, wow, amazing, I'll let you have the secret stone, but like, teehee, it's actually an engagement ring. And you're like, and she's like, okay, like you're my fiance now, if you're gonna take this ring from me, like, haha. And you're like, anyways, but it doesn't matter, because now you finally have the last sacred stone, right? You have the spiritual stone of forest, I guess, yeah, forest, fire, and water. Why is it not nature, actually, now that I think about it? Whatever. You have the Kokiri Emerald, you have the Goron Ruby, and you have the Zora Sapphire. So, like, now you can go to Hyrule Castle, and you can give them to Princess Zelda, because she has the other half of the puzzle, right, to open the door of time. you need the 3 spiritual stones, and you also need the ocarina of time, which is like, you know, passed down through the royal family, and that's what Zelda has. So you're like, okay, great, perfect. You head towards Hyrule Castle, and as you approach, you see Zelda and Impa on horseback, and they look very distressed. Zelda sees you there. She turns to look at you, and she throws something in your direction. It lands in the moat by the castle, and they speed off, right? No explanation, nothing. And then out of the castle gate comes Ganondorf, also on horseback, and he sees you, and he's all like, where did they go? I'm chasing after them. I can't believe, like, I thought that you guys were up to something, but like I didn't think you guys would be able to do much. She definitely gave you the ocarina of time, right? Like, give me the ocarina of time. And you're like, I don't know anything, I'm just a little kid, dude. So he's like, man, frick you, and he like blasts you with some magic or whatever, and he speeds off in pursuit of Zelda. So that's messy, but like, you know, I'm sure Impa's got her covered, so that's that. And so then you go over to the moat where Zelda threw something, and you reach into the moat, you dive in, and you see that she actually threw you the ocarina of time. So you now have the last puzzle piece to open the door of time and get to the Triforce before Ganondorf can, right? So you rush over to the Temple of Time, and you take out the ocarina of time, you play the Song of Time, a lot of time in this section. And you have the 3 sacred stones as well, the spiritual stones as well. So it opens up the door, and you see the Master Sword there on a little pedestal. And you go in, and you go to draw the Master Sword, and then you become encased, and you become sealed away for 7 years. And we'll stop there for now, and I'll ramble about it again next time. So, see ya. Until next time.